Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Shaun Kingston's mother, Janice Turner, affectionately known as Mama Kingston, was sentenced today to 5 years in a South Florida prison in a $1 million fraud case where she was found guilty on 4 counts. She was originally facing 80 years in prison since each count carries 20 years. Boy, I feel glad for her still, me not lie. She did not get the 30 months she asked for, which was 2.5. The judge doubled it and gave her 5 instead. This is the breaking news part. We will be back later with more info. But what we know so far, for those of you who don't know, the singer who shot to superstardom at a young age, Shaun Kingston, who sings Beautiful Girl, which to this day is still his biggest song. Shaun's mother, Mama Kingston, was convicted alongside the singer in a fraud scheme case that went very bad for them in a court when they took it to trial. So, the mother of Shaun Kingston was sentenced today, Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, to 5 years in a prison and 3 years of probation after being convicted alongside her son in a federal wire fraud case involving more than $1 million in theft, as the government saw it. I know a lot of people are going to ask now, how come she gets 5 years in prison and then 3 years of probation? How are they going to even be able to monitor her probation if they plan to deport her? Because yesterday they actually said they were deporting her to Jamaica after she was finished serving her sentence. Well, we also had the discussion this morning on our morning live that a couple of things can happen in her case. If she's a citizen, then stripping her of her citizenship would probably be not so easy if it was under a different leadership or rulership of the country. Right now, Donald Trump is in full effect, and Donald Trump just gave orders to his DOJ, or Department of Justice, to prioritize denaturalization of naturalized citizens. That simply means that if you wasn't born in the United States of America and you work your way up from a visitor, green card holder, temporary, permanent resident into citizenship, you are the people they are looking at now to denaturalize you, take away that citizenship, and send you back to your land of birth. With that said, the list has grown longer for the things or the offenses that qualify as denaturalizing offenses, offenses that you commit that you can lose your citizenship for. One time gone, citizens didn't have to worry about losing their citizenship over theft, losing their citizenship over being caught up in a fraud scheme. I personally know Jamaicans who have sold drugs, gone to prison in the United States of America, did their time, and they are still in the United States of America, right? Not so under the Trump administration. They've sold drugs, they've stolen, they've did things, they've committed fraud acts. They did their time, and because they were citizens, they were not deported to Jamaica. Donald Trump's regiment is completely different. So we said this morning on the live that one of the things that could happen to Mama Kingston, Shaun Kingston's mother, is that she gets a sentence that outlives the time that Trump will be in office. And then after, if they are voted out and say Democrats are back in power and the Democrats seek to undo a lot of the immigration changes that came about under the Trump administration, then she might be saved and she might not have to be deported after all. But I've seen where they have sentenced people to 5 years and 3 years of probation after, And 2 years into the sentence, that person is deported back to the country they came from. So anything can happen in this case right here. But as it stands right now, Mama Kingston today, on the 23rd of July 2025, Wednesday, was sentenced to 5 years in a federal prison in the state of Florida, and she must also do 3 years of probation after she is released. She is 63 years old. Shaun Kingston is 35 years old. His legal name is Shaun Anderson, and they were both found guilty on one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, plus 4 counts of wire fraud. Kingston is scheduled to be sentenced himself on August 28th. Now, the conversation should be, how long do you think Shaun Kingston is going to get? They just gave his mom 5 years with 3 years to follow of probation. Do you think they're going to give Shaun like 1 year, maybe? Maybe 2. That's what I'm guessing. Or maybe he just has to pay restitution, and he might be hit with, well, he didn't go in, so we can't say time served. And he was also on probation for the same offense, receiving of stolen goods, when he was caught up in this. So the judge is going to take all of that into consideration. Now, with the judge looking at that, Shaun himself might end up with 2 to 3 years, I'm guessing, because the judge has to set an example some way, somehow, right? It seems like they've been in trouble before. They weren't planning on changing their ways. Got to give him a little bit of time, but don't give him so much time that it destroys him, kind of thing. I said it before, I'll say it again. All the things that were taken from anybody in this case was returned to each person. The TV was returned to the people who owns the TV. The Cadillac Escalade was returned to the car company. The jewelry was returned to the jewelers. So in a sense, they are pretty much going to prison for renting people's things and using them without paying for the time that they held the things hostage and used them. It's kind of a dumb reason to go spend 5 years in prison for. Mama Kingston, as it is reported today, is now 63 years old. By the time she get out of doing those 5 years, she'll be 68 years old. And then she'll still have to do 3 years of probation. She'll be 71 years old before she is clear off of all this stuff. You see how easy it is to get in trouble and then how hard it is to get out of trouble? I honestly thought that the judge was going to give her way, way more time, for the simple fact that she did a year in prison before because of the same type of activities, for the simple fact that she got up in court and said, when it was her turn to speak, that she was just trying to save her son. And she didn't look at it as, she was doing anything wrong or defrauding anybody. She was protecting him from these people so they would not defraud her son. According to her attorney, who spoke on her behalf, he reiterated that to the judge, which pissed the judge off to no ends. The judge actually ended up saying, that's exactly the reason why I had her held right after the verdict was read. So she will remain in confinement until sentencing, because he wanted to get the message across to her that you weren't helping your son, you weren't protecting your son, you were committing fraud. So own it, and then maybe you can start to make a change with yourself. Don't try to style it as anything else. It pissed the judge off. So the fraud scheme involved cars, jewelry, and false wire transfers. For the people who didn't know, federal prosecutors said that the charges actually stemmed from a 2024 scheme to defraud vendors of luxury items, including high-end vehicles and high-end jewelry. Mama Kingston and Shaun falsely claimed to have made wire transfer payments to pay off these merchandise that they took from these people. But investigators later confirmed that the payments were never completed. Authorities said that the mother and son pair retained more than $1 million worth of goods and assets without fulfilling their financial obligations to pay these people for the things that they took from them. Then there were additional charges and past convictions that had to be taken into account. So, Mama Kingston and Shaun were arrested on May 23rd of 2024. The singer, Shaun, was taken into custody at Fort Irwin, a U.S. Army training base out in California. And while Mama Kingston was arrested during a police raid at a South Florida mansion that Shaun Kingston had been renting, he waived extradition and he was returned to Florida. And when they returned him to Florida, they returned him to Florida like a fugitive that got caught. They returned him to Florida like he killed somebody. He was shackled and he was chained up around the ankles and the wrists, and he was put in a special outfit, and he was escorted by agents, and he was flown from California to Florida, from jail to jail transfer. His lawyer had asked them to please save him this embarrassment and just let him travel back on his own. He traveled out here on his own. He wasn't running from you guys. He came out here to do a show that was paying him. He did the show. He picked up his money. Now let him just go back to Florida and he will meet you at the Broward County Jail. And they said, hell no, we're going to drag his ass. And we want him to be transported like a criminal, extradited. And they did just that. The arrest warrants outlined, here's the information that a lot of people might not know, to the specifics, right? So the arrest warrants outlined losses between October of 2023 and March of 2024. That's a 6-month period. In 6 months, it included nearly $500,000 in jewelry, nearly $200,000 from Bank of America, $160,000 for a luxury SUV dealer, and over $100,000 from First Republic Bank, and then another $86,000 from a custom bed manufacturer. That's crazy. That was only in 6 months. We're not talking about what they chopped before and got away with before. We talking about just from October of 2023 to March of 2024. So at the time of his arrest, Shaun Kingston was actually serving 2 years of probation for trafficking stolen property. This is why I said, we were looking at the mom and saying she already got found guilty before of the same thing, so the judge is probably going to throw the book at her. But Shaun was already found guilty before too of the same thing. He was just lucky that the judge let him off on probation. So it was in his probationary phase that he got caught up in this. That means he was still doing the same thing while he was on probation. No different from what his mom was doing. So how that's going to play out when his sentencing time comes, we will have to wait to see. Now, Mama Kingston previously had pleaded guilty to bank fraud way back in 2006, and she served nearly a year and a half in prison before for stealing more than $160,000, according to these court records. Mama Kingston a chop big from long time is what the record shows. Shaun Kingston rose to fame back in 2007 with the #1 hit, Beautiful Girls, and later collaborated with Justin Bieber on his next big song called Eeny Meeny. I've told people before, Shaun has seen the heights of success. At a time when they were having Bieber mania, Shaun was like Justin Bieber's best friend. In Jamaica, we said them a bench and body, two good friend. But even Justin Bieber has had to distance himself from Shaun Kingston over time after realizing that his name was getting dropped in these schemes and people were contacting them, and he didn't want to be a part of any such thing, right? So he cut off the friendship with Shaun. Yes, and there was actually an interview where they asked him about Shaun Kingston and their relationship, and I forgot what Justin Bieber said, but he kept it short and he kept it clean, and he didn't throw him under the bus or anything. He just never messed with him again. So, in closing, it's final. Mama Kingston will now serve out her time, which is 5 years in a federal prison in the state of Florida. Now, in closing, I'll say this. Anticipating that she will be deported, they have begged the judge to please allow her to serve her time close to home at the facility that's available there. They've made it known that the next facility where she would qualify to go in Florida, a federal facility, is 500 miles away. So I hope she gets situated right there where she can serve her years. And I don't care what nobody said. I also hope that she outlives this administration, and the next administration that takes over allows her to do her time and then won't deport her for this offense. 5 years, that's a long time. That's a long ass time for you to sit and contemplate and think to yourself, damn, it wasn't worth it, man. It was not worth it. Also, Shaun Kingston, who is still super talented, this might be a reset button for him. Let's be honest. Shaun is 35 years old. A lot of people are saying Shaun is a Batman, and I think him gay because how him live with his mother alone and he don't have no kids or nothing like that. He don't necessarily have to be gay. He might be enjoying the bachelor life. You know what I mean? As fake as it might be that he owns a mansion and he drives all these luxury cars and he lives in Florida, especially in Miami area, a lot of women will throw themselves at him as big as he was, physically big. He didn't have to have a six-pack and a chiseled chest to be knocking down a lot of broads. However, this might be the time where Shaun gets to really think by himself, for himself, and start to be like, you know what? By the time I leave here, I'll be pushing almost 40. It's time for me to get my life together. Maybe write a whole album. And this could be his comeback album. We never know. It could be his comeback album. Write a whole album. He still has friends in the industry who are super successful and who are doing really well. He just did a collaboration with NBA YoungBoy not too long ago. Just to give you an example of some of the people who he is still closely associated with who are winning big time. So that's how life goes. Once you have those connections still, and you have that talent that you were blessed with still, it's not what man say that goes. It's what God says that goes. And remember, I told y'all, I said sometimes the creator got to sit you down. Because the creator say, yo, me I go choose you. And me I go bless you with immense talent that nobody else has. And I'm going to put you on this trajectory. But I need you to do good things with this talent. But you went the other way. And all you're getting tapped on your shoulder like, hey, hello, remember, you're not paying attention. You out here wilding. Sit you down for a couple of years. Give him some time to think and then reset his life. Not to mention reset his health. Remember when Gucci Man went to prison with the ice cream cone stuff tattooed to the side of his face? Remember how big Gucci was? Gucci looked like he was 9 months pregnant. Remember when he came home and then Keisha Cure got a hold of him, and then they started their family and built their business up and their family up? And look at Gucci today. Chiseled abs, six-pack chest, eat a certain way, live a certain way, completely flipped his life around. So don't say it can't be done. We have a thing in Jamaica that we say, if it not dead, don't dash it away. And Shaun not dead, so we not dash him away. And Mama Kingston not dead, so we not dash them when neither. We'll see them again. So on the 28th of August, Shaun Kingston will learn his fate. And as for now, Mama Kingston is off to do her 5 years. I'll catch you all on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.